Welcome to the National Auto Sports Association event at the Auto Club Speedway here at the base of the San Gabriel Mountains in sunny Southern California. The wind was ripping through here as Mel started prepping his car.
Woo. Time to adjust the shock for performance level here.
After adjusting the suspension and exhaust, we take the car over to the garage and let the track inspectors mechanically check it over, make sure everything's safe. Everything checked out A-OK, and we're signed off, and a quick briefing before the race sessions, and away we go. My narrative apologies to you racers. I don't know the proper descriptive terms, but I do know how it made me feel. The staging flagger heads us off, one by one, and underneath the $500 seats to the entrance on-ramp, so to speak. As we build up speed on the end of the pit area to merge onto the beginning of a curve to the left. All of the drivers are taking it easy on this first lap, warming up the brakes, getting the feel of the track and the heavy winds, scoping out the other drivers, generally just getting ready for the next real lap. As the speeds aren't excessively high yet, we're quite low down on the banked curve. But as we exit this half-mile long curve, Mel starts heading right up against the outside wall on a quarter-mile long straightaway. Pretty soon we're faced with a hard 90-degree turn to the left, necessitating some moderate braking. Quick 90 to the right, and we're once again accelerating on a quarter-mile straight section. At the end of that, we've got moderately heavy braking to slow us down for a tight hairpin 180 to the left that has the tires squealing around the whole curve, even at this toned-down warm-up pace. Mel must be getting a feel for his new tires already. Now we've got almost half a mile to accelerate, as the only turns are a tight chicane that hardly slows us down at all, until the next tight hairpin back to the right demands the brakes again. After that tight hairpin to the right, we're accelerating again. We've got almost a half mile where the only curve is another tight chicane. We're still accelerating as we pass under the infield bridge heading towards the complex. Braking hard, we enter the complex. It is a series of 7 or 8 tight curves, zigzagging all over the place, with hardly an 1/8 mile long straightaway in amongst them. Exiting the final left-hand turn in the complex finds Mel accelerating as we merge onto the grandstand straightaway, heading towards the finish line of this first lap. A strong headwind and maybe some first lap jitters are keeping us to not much over 150 miles an hour as we rocket past the grandstands. And there's the green flag. Mel's vet really loves this straightaway. Shift into 5th gear and gain a few more miles per hour as we enter the 14-degree bank curve to the left for almost half a mile. A bit of a side wind buffet at almost 150 has Mel wondering a bit as he exits the curve and slides right on over to the edge of the outside wall on a straightaway, and then Mel is hitting the brakes hard for a 90-degree left, followed instantly by a 90-degree right. Tires are squealing through this dogleg, using all the race weight, and more. Accelerating briefly, probably only getting up to 100 miles per hour. Only when he's hitting the brakes hard again and a 180-degree hairpin to the left and slamming me into the outside of the cockpit. Mel's hitting the throttle hard out of that hairpin. Before I know it, Mel's slicing through this tight squiggle of a chicane without any loss of speed at all. There's a yellow flag up ahead, some sort of incident. As Mel slingshots out of number 8, he's accelerating towards this turn combo that the and I would call 2 turns. Map says it is. Mel thinks it's just 1 turn though. Then we're diving under the infield bridge and going fast. And faster. And faster yet. And then Mel's slamming hard on the brakes again and entering what the track calls the complex. Complex? No kidding. Turn after turn after turn, turning left to start merging back onto the high-speed NASCAR-type straightaway. And after all those violent curves in the complex, my stomach is thinking straight is a very good thing. I really should have said high-speed straightaway, but at 150 miles an hour with the windows down for safety's sake, you wouldn't have heard it anyway. And that, after only 2 minutes, brings us right back to that 14-degree banked high-speed curve to the left that we started with just one lap ago. So now he's got his speed up and the lap timer begins for his fastest time of 1:59.334. On this big, high-speed track, Mel was consistently up there at number 1 and 2 with the fastest lap times in his level 3 group. But as Mel was very quick to point out, at a smaller, tighter, more technical track such as Buttonwillow, where straightaways are shorter or almost non-existent, Mel says he'd be back down in the middle of the pack. The National Auto Sports Association has 4 categories of high-performance driving. All of the drivers in Mel's session are level 3 drivers. Levels 1 and 2 aren't even allowed to have a passenger, such as myself. Even though the cars themselves vary quite a bit, all of the drivers are roughly the same experience and skill level. After the first warm-up lap, passing is allowed on the straightaways, and might be allowed in the curves when the driver in front signals a pass-by on his preferred side to the driver in back, but I'm not sure on that. This type of driver courtesy keeps the high horsepower cars like Mel's Vette from getting stuck behind slower cars, and yet still keeps things organized and controlled without the potential for bumping that happens in full-on race situations. On a slower, windier course, Mel would give the same courtesy to those momentum cars that keep their speed up a little bit through the curves but don't have the acceleration. You know, these grandstands are over half a mile long. Keep that in mind as it ticks by rather quickly. These statistics are only an accurate estimate, really. The course at this track can be configured many ways, but I think the length that day was probably between 2 3/4 and 3 miles. His fastest lap was accurately timed at 1 minute 59.334 seconds. So 82 to 85 miles per hour average. As a passenger, I never felt comfortable getting into Mel's cockpit space enough to really see the speedometer. I never could see the tap. But after all, that wasn't really what I wanted to watch anyway. There's a point by that driver to allow Mel to pass. Using every bit of the roadway on that hairpin, including a bit of the rumble strip off to the side there. Whoop. The bumper-mounted camera view 4 inches off the deck gives a pretty interesting view of the asphalt sliding by at 100+ miles an hour. These aftermarket high-performance brake rotors and pads aren't exactly designed to be quiet, but they sure work. Cutting the corners close, and I tell you, the stacks of tires on the side pass by very close. As you might expect of the level 3 drivers, there was a lot of professional, serious-minded attitudes out there on the track that gave a lot of confidence. The G-forces here in the complex are crazy, even with good wraparound seats and seat belt tucked in as tight as I could manage. You get flung all over the cockpit. Scary how close the drivers call it to those pylons. Exiting the complex, and we're starting to merge back onto the high-speed oval again. And hang on tight as Mel accelerates from 3rd to 4th to 5th gear right on up to 155 miles an hour. During the 30 seconds starting with the grandstands, we travel over a mile on this track. The strong crosswinds coming off the desert probably made the most impact along this stretch. At these speeds, the drivers must be looking way out in front to keep track of things. The deceleration along this stretch is intense. There's a yellow flag. Must be some kind of incident ahead. There is no passing allowed under a yellow flag. Looks like the BMW Alpina's got troubles. Ooh, brake lights, brake lights. Mel is taking advantage of another point by and passing this slower car. I don't suppose the drivers have much time to appreciate the scenic snowy mountains. No room for passing here at all. Some of these outwardly, innocently looking cars are anything but. Meet these out on the street and zip zip, it'd be hilarious. I was too busy being a spectator inside the cars to really appreciate how much good viewing there is for the spectators on the infield and other great spots. I was only half joking about the motion sickness through the complex. I have a strong stomach, and I think most passengers would have a bit of a problem through this. It's violent. Exiting the complex, all the drivers are going to be jockeying for position, getting ready to let her rip. And there's the checkered flag signifying one more lap to go in this 20-minute session. Just like the first warm-up lap, the drivers use this last lap as a bit of a cool down. Everything gets dropped down a notch, engine and brakes start cooling down, drivers take it a little easy.